are you
This
doing?
call is being recorded.
Good.
Everything okay?
Yep.
Okay, well, let me move away from my other thing. Just a couple of things I want to talk about today, and then let you go. Do you recall going back to when you were doing all that packing and shipping at the very beginning?
Mhm.
You mentioned the music you like to listen to, pentatonics, and
Mhm.
and was there something else pleasant about? I mean, this kind of gave, or were you too busy to chat? I don't know how the work went, or it was a nice way to be acquainted, get better acquainted with your own dad. You know, just spending all that time together.
It was more of kind of like we were kind of too busy to talk. So.
Put your head down and work. Well, you see each other a lot anyway. I was just curious if there was much chatting going on. Okay. We reached that point, and we haven't talked about this much either. That year or so after the initial release and sales and public attention, it sort of went into a year without much going on, if I recall.
Mhm.
Well, how was that year spent? You spent that year going to school, right?
Mhm.
Did the independent youth movement, that came later though, right? That came after plastic.
The what?
Independent youth, where you made appearances about young people inventing things. That organization.
I believe that.
I thought it was called Independent Youth. I may have that name wrong in my head.
The name's right. I think it actually happened while we were redesigning the cup, but you might have to ask my dad that for like.
Okay, in the down year.
Idea. Huh?
In the so-called down year.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Well, I mean, there's reference, your father in his notes, reference to after the initial ballyhoo, we went into a year where not a lot was going on. With the new, it was a year before the next product was introduced, and you were sort of away from you weren't as deeply involved in the Kangaroo project during that year as you were before and since. And I was just wondering if that was a time where you had some doubts, or did you know this is just something you go on while you develop the new products, or how did that work?
I'm sorry.
I assume you stayed busy, and I assume you stayed busy in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you in some plays during that time, or was that a time when you were in school drama?
I was in I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember the exact grade I was in at the time.
I think I'm trying to remember from my notes, but it was kind of 2013ish.
Oh, all right. 13-ish, you said?
That's my recollection from the notes, which I do not have in front of me. Yeah, summer 2014, the comeback in early 2014. Okay, here's from your father's time outline. I'll just read it. After the crowdfunding campaign, we shipped cups and things really slowed down. We didn't have enough orders to make another production run, so we figured we'd try to do production in the U.S., where we could make smaller batches of inventory. We tried for over a year, but we had a problem in the end. In the whole year, we were only able to make less than 100 cups, and you talked about the difficulty in finding Yeah, I have that. We were kind of stuck at this point. Some new customers hadn't received their cups. And it was really tough. But then he says that after that, the comeback happened, and he called it a comeback in 2014. The Channel 2 News called, wanted to do a story, and then the Tonight Show called, although that didn't work out, and then the spring, and then in the spring, the plastic cup. So 2013 was sort of a down year. That would have been what, 8th grade? Or wait, no. What grade would that have been? Really?
Hmm?
I just want to make sure we still had a connection.
I don't think 8th grade was well, like, the quote unquote down year. I don't think so, at least.
You were still in grade school.
Well, yeah.
So, what are you doing? So, it was a downtime. I read that to kind of jog your memory. You know, these things have an ebb and flow to them. And the downtime came, and not a lot was going on, or not a lot of successes being made, and you were at work on other aspects of your life. I'm sure more, and that would be school. So maybe you can tell me, was school going okay? That was about the time you were in some plays, wasn't it?
School plays?
Yeah,
I think so. I'm just going to assume that the down year was when I was in 6th grade.
No, it was 2013. What year did you start? We'll count backwards. What class? When you graduated from middle school in June of what year?
I graduated. When did I graduate from middle school?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like,
I mean,
like
or
junior high.
Whatever you junior high, whatever it's called up there. Yeah, junior high.
Yeah. I graduated from junior high. Last year of June, I believe.
Pardon me?
I graduated from junior high last year of the June of last year.
June of 2015.
June of 2016. So. Yeah.
16. All right, you're a freshman now, then, right? I got to get that straight in my head. I kept thinking you're a sophomore. Okay, 2015. So 8th grade, 7th grade, 2014. So you're in 6th grade, 6th and 7th in there. Can you tell me what you found for enjoyment in life? And
that's what he meant by down year. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, down year for the Kangaroo Cup. Not a lot was going on with it. You had the big thing going out, but then there was kind of
exactly. That's what I'm just gonna assume because I don't really know what he means, but but yeah, I'm just gonna assume it's gonna be like 6th to 7th grade.
Well, I mean, you learn from that. I mean, you very often you bring something out and there's a big rush and everything's going terrific, and then the next step sometimes doesn't come easily or that and down and you know, my parents always used to tell me life is perseverance. That's what life is. And if you persevere, which you did, things started popping again for the cups. But during that year, when you weren't so busy wrapping and shipping and et cetera, and going to China and having all the adventures, you were in school, and I assume we've talked some about your dramatics that you did in grade school. I assume maybe that was a good time for you doing that, or maybe one of
Mhm.
your summer camps or your drama camps was about that time. I don't have the outline in front of me.
Mm. Okay.
Or am I right? I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was mainly sixth grade when I started to do like stuff like like mu- like musical theater and plays for
Right.
like in
That'd
school.
be about the time. Yeah, that'd be about the time that this so-called downtime was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in sixth grade I was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for the first semester like play, and then in
What part did you play?
I was Mrs. Salt.
Mrs.
I was Mrs. Salt, so Veruca Salt's mother. And then in second semester I played I was in Into the Woods Junior in sixth grade.
Now, by Into the Woods Junior, that means they take the play Into the Woods and condense it a little bit or do some things to make it better for a younger crowd?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, well, yeah, it's like, by junior, it's like they take out some things,
They
but
adapt it for the age group, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, for, like, the age group, or, like, to make it, like, easier to do, I guess,
Maybe even at that age a little shorter, too.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, did you enjoy this time? Did you worry about the Kangaroo Cup, or did you feel it was going to keep going, or and more things would be happening, or did you think this might have been it, or what did you think at that time?
At the time, I wasn't very worried about it, honestly. It was, it it was more of like there's like so many other things going on at the time, so it was like my first year, like, moving to like this huge school that, like, I had like no idea, like, where to go or what to do, and little did mini me know that it's only gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
But
Your new school was what? What school was that? Your new school?
the middle school I went to was Lincoln Junior High.
Lincoln Junior High, after Edison.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah.
That's always a busy time. It's a busy age, a lot going on, and it was nice to have that thing cooking. There was a slowdown in being interviewed and such. But and then what sort of broke it? I mean, again, going to your father's notes, some of them. It was, I guess, sort of the thing that got it back on track more than it was for a few months, not a whole year, but for a number of months, well, basically a year, was Channel 2 News calling.
Yeah.
And how'd you find out about that? Did they call your mom or dad, or?
I believe they either called or emailed my dad, and my dad lets me know. That's usually how we did it.
and then he'd tell you next time he saw you, or did you say, time to go back on the air, or what did he say? How did he tell you? I know I'm asking tough questions because I'm asking about things that happened 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and we don't tend to remember, but sometimes we do remember, so I just have to keep asking such questions. You remember how it was that you were told that it's time to go back on the air?
I don't really remember what he said.
Well, as I say, I couldn't tell you what I said 3 years ago yesterday very easily either. But sometimes things stick in the mind, so I have to, ask the questions. But did it please you? Did the Channel 2 News story please you?
Mm-hmm.
By this time, you were an old hand. You knew how to handle interviews and cameras and such, I imagine.
Mhm.
Was it beginning to feel like, well, we do this again? It wasn't a big. It is a big deal because it's a major news source. But it was start to just get back in the saddle like you've ridden a horse before.
Mhm. Well, yeah, sort of. Because before that it was really I didn't really get like that much news coverage before. So it was like
you had you're right. You had the Trib and
I got the Tribune before. But
you got Kangaroo Dad and Kangaroo Dad and Tiger Mom.
Yeah. So I didn't really get like a very large amount of publicity before.
So you're still on the learning curve.
So yeah, in some ways I was still on the learning curve. Like, and again, it's like I wasn't like filmed like any of the.
Well, they did. They interviewed your grandpa, and they interviewed you. They about the cup and the invention.
Yeah.
And you were even up on. You were still had the crowdfunding, but you weren't. If I recall, too many notes. Too many. Just 1 second. Yeah, if I recall. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, I mean you weren't even up on Amazon yet for either. You hadn't done the plastic cups yet, and the ceramics were not up on Amazon yet. I am just judging by the comments, which came from all the comments start in 2015, right? That was the decision to go on Amazon. What brought that decision about? Do you remember discussing that with your father at some point?
It wasn't really a discussion. It was more of just like, we got the cups on Amazon. Like,
just the next natural step. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't really. Yeah, we didn't really make that big of a deal out of it.
No, I mean, it's a good way to sell.
Yeah, it is.
Without having to, in the old days, you'd have to get stores to carry it and ship it, or put ads in magazines or whatever. It would have been a much more difficult process. So, where are my little queries? And so you are back on track. Any other things at school going on during the so-called down year? Drama, or just putting your head down and working on your studies?
Just kind of like focusing on school, doing drama, also relaxing.
Relaxing and working on your studies. Was math coming in easier? I'm one of the I've always had it hard with math all through my life, so I quite understand it. I'm not inclined toward it, but was math coming easier?
At the time, no, it still
Okay.
wasn't. Yeah. It's like it's it's sort of um like I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do a lot of my homework for math just because I thought I could finish it like at school, and I still kind of
Mhm.
do that, except I manage my time better now.
Well,
um
you're doing what kids normally do. They hit the books and they try to have some fun too, or
mhm.
learn some things outside of the classroom, such as drama. What was your
Mhm.
favorite play you were in?
Um hmm.
Camp or school?
Hmm. Um
Or was there a favorite? Sometimes that's.
I guess Into the Woods Junior was probably my favorite. I was in.
Well, plays are hard. It's a tough schedule. Memorizing the
Yeah.
lines. I always remember I was in plays in high school, and
Mhm.
I was I never
Yeah,
looked forward to having to
yeah, my
memorize lines.
yeah, my favorite Broadway musical is different, however, but my favorite one that I was in was probably Into the Woods Junior.
And what part did you have in that?
I was Florinda, which is one of the stepsisters in Cinderella's life.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now I was on, and the one other thing I want to talk to you about what was the independent youth. I mean, you went
Mhm.
to their they email you or again through your father or
Yeah, again through they emailed my dad first. I believe they emailed my dad first, and
hmm
then and then and then Tanya, the woman who like sort of like runs the show, she 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 wanted to like just call, like she just wanted to like call on the phone and like talk on the phone, and just kind of like ask me questions and like explain what the group is about and like what like group does and things. But yeah.
and you did become involved with them so
Mhm.
that you went to one of their big meetings. And well, tell me about independent youth. What does it do? Pretend I don't know. I've done a little research on it, but I mean, if somebody says, well, "What kind of group is that?" What does it do?
So I I guess in a way of compressing what it does is ba- is basically the main idea of it um is like it's like this network of teen entrepreneurs, and like we go across the country and we speak to different schools about like being an entrepreneur and what it's like, and like you and so and like telling them what it's like, and telling them what it's like. So, yeah.
And you had these meetings where you would actually divide into groups and well, I was about to say invent things, but develop ideas, right?
Mhm.
Isn't this where your reminder, the pill reminder, came up? Where
I'm
you
sorry,
worked
what
on
did
that
you
some? Pardon me?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Didn't you work on that idea you've had about the reminder, the pill reminder that you'd have, the internet, the thing you'd wear that would remind you when to take your pills and such. Didn't you work on that
Um,
at Independent Youth a bit?
no. That was that was different because my dad went on this went on this like I believe it was a 3 day trip. I believe it was like a 3 day trip on a bus, and it was called the Maker Bus. And basically, what you do is you basically do everything an entrepreneur does in 3 days. So you come up with an idea for a product, you make a prototype, or at least a semi-working prototype, and you get like and I believe you get publicity for it too, and so you basically do everything an entrepreneur does in
Your
3
dad
days.
did that. You were involved with it.
Yes, and it was like the day before my dad was going to go on this trip. So my dad and I, we headed over to my aunt's house, or my dad's sister's house, and we sat down with my cousin Simon, and we came up with the Tilly pod.
But this is as part of a group, not the independent youth, but this was as...
No, this isn't this isn't with independent youth.
You just did it with your dad.
Yeah, and my cousin Simon.
And you say you got on a bus to do it. How did that work?
No, my dad did. We just came up with the idea before he went on. I couldn't go because one I was very, very, very sick. I had like some sort of like I want to say flu virus, but I don't think that's what it was. And 2, you have to be 18 or older.
But does anything come of that? Anything come of that?
You might have to ask my dad that, because to be honest,
that was more his bailiwick. I'm gonna have to have a talk with him at some point when it's convenient for him. And tell me a little bit more about we've been over that before. When the Tonight Show came, I know the story, and you told me the story. But at that point, you shrug it off? Some things work out and some don't, or was that kind of a downer for you, or how did that work? Just the way you felt about it.
I mean, yeah, it was. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of like, yeah, I just kind of shrugged it off, like, it didn't happen, but.
Well, did you watch the Tonight Show? And as a show you watched, or were you that? Everybody knows it exists and sort of what it is, but I don't watch it. Were you a fan of the Tonight Show, or were just aware of it?
I was just sort of aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I guess, because it's like there's this thing that my dad likes to call the shrug. It's basically like the ability to just brush off whatever bad thing happens to you and move on.
Well, as he says in his that commencement speech he gave, fail early and fail often.
Mhm.
I mean, because that's just what you've got to.
Yeah. So he just likes to call that the. He just likes to call.
I found. I can just find it real quick. My computer's acting up on me. Do you use a laptop?
I mainly just use my school laptop.
I just know everybody your age is plugged in so much more than we were.
Well, my school like provides us laptops.
The quotation from Thomas Edison I mentioned to you, which is actually fitting for this part of the book, when he was having some trouble in the laboratory, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And that's how we have a light bulb, because there was the 10,001st way. But I always like that quotation. That doesn't work, you just try something else. And if Tonight Show didn't work,
yep.
Along comes CNN in the White House and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I take CNN in the White House to Tonight Show, and you get about 1 minute on the Tonight Show, the way they pace that thing. Going back to the independent youth, you were making a lot of presentations. You started being invited to a number of events, as I understand from the notes, to tell the story. You must have been becoming an old hand, so to speak, at telling that story. Maybe it gets a little tough telling the same story. Telling the same story over and over again.
Well, if a teen entrepreneur presents in front of a group of high schoolers, what I've found works best is to incorporate the story and also connect how that relates to whatever you're talking about. So usually we'll come up with our own topics. My topic is the invention process and prototyping. And we just use we usually use the same presentation over and over every year.
It can get old. I remember I was in a play in high school, summertime, all the high schools got together and drama people and put on a play. And through the summer, we did about 12 performances, which is a lot more than you usually do in a school play. And I'll tell you, by the 10th time, I had fun doing it and everything, but by the 10th time, it was getting old. And I wonder, some Broadway stars who have a hit play, they can be in it for 10 years, every night, 6 times a week. It can be exciting, and then it can become a grind. Did you ran into other people your age who are similarly inclined to invent, create, and market and so forth? Did you find some other inventions or ideas that you were particularly impressed with from other kids? And if they didn't stick in your mind, you weren't too impressed. But
I am impressed with Michaela Ulmer. Have you heard of her?
I'm bad with names. I may have.
Do you watch Shark Tank?
I'm sorry?
Do you watch Shark Tank?
No, I don't.
Oh. So Michaela Ulmer, she's an independent youth, and she like stuff, and she like and she and she and she sells like lemonade to help like the honeybee population and to help bees. And I'm very impressed with her because she is she is very, I believe the last time I checked, I believe she was like in 4th or 5th grade.
I'll look her up. Her last name is Ulmer, Ulmer? Mikhail?
Michaela.
Michaela Ulmer. Okay. Now, and your nose pillow ever come up in all these meetings?
No, they did not.
Well, you just never know. And did you learn giving the same presentation over and over again? I mean, it wasn't by rote. I mean, it differed, I'm sure, from time to time in various ways. Did that process teach you anything about that? Did you find better ways to, or just a polishing thing, or did you pretty much?
Well, I mean, it's not really a policy thing. You can change your topic anytime you like, but it's really just easier to stick to the same topic every year and use the same presentation every year.
And you have questions and answers. Do you do questions and answers typically at one of these mini presentations?
Yeah, I usually leave as much time as I can for Q&A.
You know, in all the talks I've given over the years, by far, I say what needs to be said, whatever the occasion, but the most interesting time is the question and answering, what questions people have. Do you remember any particularly interesting questions? Or any silly questions? We're not going to embarrass anybody, but because sometimes people don't grasp the technology or whatever, and ask. Sometimes we just don't understand, and sometimes we'll ask a silly question, and that's all right. I'll give you a quick example. Many years ago, almost 100 years ago, when they had the first nuclear chain reaction at the University of Chicago, they announced it and had a press conference, and the photographer, who was not very much up on his science, said to the scientist, "Okay, I've got a nice 3-part photo series. This is a true story, that we can do. Put it across the top of the front page. We'll get one of the scientists. We'll have them take out the atom, and then we'll have them split that picture of them splitting the atom, and then a picture of them picking up the 2 pieces." So he didn't quite understand what was going on. And sometimes people don't quite understand, and sometimes it can be funny. But no, you don't remember anything stick out that way.
I don't think I've had a question really stick.
Well, I didn't mean to. I was just trying to get the feeling. My father-in-law, who was a newspaper editor, said he'd like to say there is no such thing as a stupid question, and there isn't really. Just shows you there's something you want to know that you don't know. Okay. Well, I think we can for next Sunday, 4:00. Okay for you?
Yep.
Okay. And if I have any queries, or if you think of anything, never hesitate to either call me or email me.
Okay.
Sometimes when you talk about something pops into your mind the next day while you're cooking eggs for breakfast or whatever, and just let me know.
All right.
Well, I know you have to go back to school tomorrow, so I'll let you get to it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Lily.
All right. Bye.